What if you could time travel back to the 1920s? How would the world look like then? The 20s, as they're often called, were a period of dramatic change and progress, a time when the world was finding its footing after the tumultuous years of the Great War. This was an era of significant transformation, where the old world was giving way to the new. As the echoes of the cannons faded, a new sound filled the air, the sound of jazz. Jazz music, with its infectious rhythms and soulful melodies, swept across the nation, becoming the soundtrack of this vibrant decade. It was a time when musicians like Louis Armstrong and Duke Ellington were household names, their music echoing in every corner of the country. The 1920s also witnessed a cultural explosion, famously known as the Harlem Renaissance. African-American artists, musicians, and writers, previously marginalized, now found their voices heard, their stories told. This was a time when the likes of Langston Hughes, Zora Neale Hurston, and Countee Cullen redefined the American literary landscape with their profound and poignant works. The decade also saw the dawn of the Prohibition era. The sale, production, and transportation of alcohol were banned, giving rise to an underground world of speakeasies and bootleggers. But this was not a time of abstinence. Rather, it was an era that thrived on rebellion and resilience. Technological advancements were in full swing during the 1920s. The widespread use of automobiles, telephones, and motion pictures changed the way people lived, worked, and entertained. Electricity, too, began to light up homes and cities alike, pushing the boundaries of what was possible. Amidst all these changes, the economy flourished. People were investing, businesses were booming, and it seemed like the good times would never end. However, the decade that roared with changes ended with a crash, the Wall Street crash of 1929. This catastrophic event marked the beginning of the Great Depression, a stark contrast to the prosperity and progress of the 20s. The 1920s, a decade that roared with changes, ended with a crash, the Wall Street crash of 1929, marking the beginning of the Great Depression. How would you react if the world you knew suddenly collapsed? This question became a harsh reality in the 1930s, a decade etched in the annals of history as a period of survival and resilience. The 1930s was a decade that opened with the shadow of the Great Depression looming large. This worldwide economic downturn altered the course of history, bringing economies to their knees and shaking the very foundations of societies. From Wall Street's trading floors to the humble homes of factory workers, the Great Depression left no corner untouched, no life unchanged. This economic collapse was not just a financial crisis. It led to political instability that rippled across continents. It set the stage for the rise of totalitarian regimes in Europe, with leaders exploiting the despair and disillusionment of their citizens. The world watched in trepidation as these regimes grew in power, setting the stage for a conflict that would engulf the globe. Yet, amid the bleakness, there were sparks of hope and resilience. On American soil, the Dust Bowl ravaged the heartland, but it also spurred a collective spirit of endurance and ingenuity. Farmers and families faced with the harshest of conditions found ways to survive and even thrive. In the realm of culture, too, the 1930s was a time of vibrancy and innovation. The lively notes of swing music echoed through dance halls, offering a much-needed respite from the grim realities of the time. The golden age of Hollywood was in full swing, with films providing an escape into worlds of glamour and fantasy. The 1930s, a decade of survival and resilience, ended with the world on the brink of another major conflict, World War II. But the lessons of this decade, of human strength in the face of adversity, remain a testament to our ability to adapt, endure, and persevere.